accidentally got cut off, but yeah, that's the eye of the blue god. It appears in Professor Dr. Georg Cantor's infinity calculation. The blue god is the embodiment of infinity. I painted this before I ever found out about Dr. Cantor's calculation. And so all of this, it gives me an affirmation, the affirmation from beyond, sort of. I have that's my form of communicating with those great minds from the past that are no longer in those existences that they were in when they had these calculations and books and thoughts and proposals, including Friedrich Nietzsche. Jiddu Krishnamurti, of course, is the infinity. He was one of the embodiments of the infinite cosmos, and my dog Kenny Redwood was another one of Jiddu Krishnamurti's incarnations, the blue god. And I will grieve for him for the rest of my life. For him to come into my life, and French kiss me like he did. He always wanted to French kiss me. And I made a video, I think it was called The Buddha Had Something to Say. And in that video I still had my other camera. I had the kit camera, and I was still uploading this to the Microsoft computer, and I had the movie maker, and I was editing stuff out. I don't do that anymore, but at that time I was still editing stuff out, and Kenny had been French kissing me 2 times really good while I was making that video, and I should have kept it. I should have showed how he was French kissing me, but it was right around that time when we heard that they made this incredible fuss about bestiality. I hate that word. That's so awful, So sorry about this random rambling. But yeah, nothing is random, really. It everything ties in with one another. Trust me, it's true. So yeah, so I was afraid that they would come knocking on the door if they saw that video. So at that time I saw a bunch of horrible things happening to people. That one guy was taking shower with his raccoon, and big love, not even not sexual. And my French kissing wasn't sexual either, but people would understand it as that. So when I saw that they took Rebecca away from him, I think that was also in 2011, I just completely lost it. I signed petition letter after petition letter to let him get Rebecca back. They took her away from him because some asshole on the internet reported him. Some hater. Never take a child away from their parent. Never. Never let your anger or your going by the book or your job approval, society approval, never let that take over love. Never let that blend out, or never let that dominate over your internal compassion. The inner child knows what's true and what's false, what's right and what's wrong. Not what your parents told you, not what society told you. Everything that happens, it happens because it's part of that school. So accept that what happens. Not in terms of, oh, I need to hold the other cheek and accept the abusive husband or something. No, 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 no. No, it always gets misunderstood. You accept that this is right now the situation. Not in terms of right or wrong. This is right now, this is the situation. You're sitting at home. I don't know anyone. I don't know all of these people out there, but I see a lot of desperate people on the internet. Lonely, taking drugs, alcohol. Accept that this is the situation that it is right now. Okay? Accept that it's the situation. You know, I try to get this across as good as possible. I read on the internet or saw some kind of report on this guy that tried to sneak into the Hollywood Society somewhere in Bel Air. There was a party where all these celebrities invited, and one random dude goes in there and acts like he knows everyone, waves hi, and then people go, who is that? And finally the security guard sees that person and asks him who he is, and he didn't know what to say, just says his name, and then they go, no, you're not on the list of VIP. That in itself is so neurotic, to say that, they're VIP, but he is not. We're all equally precious. We're all VIP, right? So we're all equally precious already by default. But in that situation, you don't go to a party that you're not invited to, obviously, right? Why should I go to a party that I'm not invited to? Why should I force myself on anyone who doesn't know me or doesn't want me there or whatever? I have better things to do than that. But this guy, feeling low, feeling like he's a nobody, instead of facing that feeling, that doesn't mean he has to always be like this. Doesn't mean that's like a sealed fate. It just means right now in that moment he feels like he is a nobody and he can't stand it. He cannot stand it to the degree that his ego will create a situation where he forces himself into a society where he is right now not known and not invited, and where he wants to be so bad. There was a guy, he drove into the fence of the Playboy mansion. He wanted to go in there so bad that he drove his old Chevrolet or whatever into that fence. I had to get the police. It had to be repaired. A lot of money had to be spent on it. Guy was arrested. Like, dude, man, that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. When you drive into the fence of the Playboy mansion. No, you're not gonna drive into the fence and somehow get miraculously catapulted by the wind and by jet propulsion into the lap of Holly Madison. Now, that's not going to happen. So, no, you never got to see Holly Madison, but you got to see the cops and the prison cell and that little toilet in there in that prison cell. That's what happened. That was worse than the trailer home. Much smaller and worse. So yeah, and then with other prisoners there. So it's like, you know, these. I hope I make this clear. I hope I bring this across to you. You know, don't get glued on these examples. I'm using these examples only in order to make a situation more understandable, but not to run away with the examples. So a person wants something real bad. Men have it much worse in this regard than women. I see that because they feel like they need to perform, they need to be someone. It's so bad, like they feel like they'll be forever lonely if they're not accomplishing something or being something, representing something. That has to do with severe neurosis, that has to do with brainwashing from the past. Entire society has been indoctrinated in that way. So, and that's all complete crap. It doesn't mean anything. It is not true. Not true at all. Look at Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle, read his story. It's a long story, but Eckhart Tolle finally came to this moment where when he tried to study, he was summa cum laude, success was huge. Studied philosophy in Cambridge, England, and then he had a nervous breakdown, wanted to commit suicide, then because he had all of this accomplished. Now what? What's the next? What's gonna happen next? Did this bring him happiness? This accomplishment, this summa cum laude, with praise. That's what that means. It's a Latin term. Highest grades with praise. So now, what is he gonna do with it? He suddenly realized it's not gonna give him happiness. So then he ended up so depressed he went into a terrible nervous breakdown. And he finally fell asleep, and the next morning he woke up and he had this enlightenment. I don't like the word, but he had this clarity of mind over what really matters. He had to go through this in order to realize what really matters. What really matters is to be infinitely grateful for what you have, for everything that you have, including the summa cum laude diploma. And maybe he can do something with it, and he did do something with it. He wrote amazing books. So all of this is not for nothing. So, always good to have summa cum laude. It always sounds good. I didn't have that. So I always only barely made it through schools. But that's because I wasn't focused. I was drinking alcohol. I was smoking at that time. And so that's why I had bad grades. And then when I quit all of this, I went to university. I didn't finish any of that stuff. No, I did some papers. So that turned out very well because I had quit drinking and smoking. So my brain was clarified, was cleansed, and then I could think clearly, but I was still too afraid to give presentations, so I didn't make it through the school. Because of that, I quit. But Eckhart Tolle has had all of this, under his belt, and he he thought that didn't mean anything. So, but then once he had clarity of mind and realized why don't I just make the best out of my life, you know? And everything around him suddenly had color and sparkled and looked at him. The sun smiled at him, and the colors were vibrant, and he was grateful, and he saw things from a different perspective. He saw that let's make the best out of it, you know, the very best. And we can actually not only make the best out of it, we actually have the potential to make a paradise out of it. Every single one of us has that potential, every single one. So I go in and out of this despair, but when I get into the despair, I go through the despair. Like yesterday, I went through the despair before the video and then during the video process, sharing that with you. And then after the video, I felt better. I had more clarity. And it felt like, yes, I was dealing with it, you know. I'm dealing with it with myself. I'm not going to struggle with my brother for love or approval. That would be a waste of my time to do this, you know. I'm not going to meet my brother's ego. I'm not going to be, ego, will you love me and approve of me? I will buy expensive clothes, then you will approve of me. Then you think I'm cool too. No, I'm not going to go that route. That'd be a waste of time. If I want to talk to my brother, I want to talk to my brother, my little brother, the real person, the inner child, not the outer asshole shell, of not the defense mechanism, not that mask, the mask of the asshole, the cold, you know, untouchable beauty, nobleman that pretends to be one of the Rothschilds, sort of, almost, you know, not really, but in that sense, you know, stepping into the footsteps of my own dad. So that's what my dad lived for us as a role model. My brother picking that up. My dad also lived creativity for us. My brother didn't pick up on the creativity part. I picked up on the creativity part genetically and consciously as well, because I recognize the creativity part because I have that genetically as well. So that always, you know, that makes it easier, of course. It makes it very difficult for someone who doesn't have the creativity part like this, who stays hung up on the social coolness effect on off that creativity part, but not seeing the depths of the creativity part. I don't know if this makes any sense. Yeah, a lot of people they go like, this is cool, like the emperor has no clothes on, you know. The clothes are so fine in the fairy tale that people can't see it, so they praise him for his fine clothes. But it takes the jester to say, but wait a minute, why are you praising his clothes? He doesn't have any clothes on. And then everyone goes, oh, the jester is right, he doesn't have any clothes on. Oops. Something is good, an artwork is good, then it's praised, then everyone runs off with this outer spark or of, you know, shape like this, any random shape, praised as art. Okay, everyone goes, yeah, real good art. And the artist doesn't even know really whether that is art or not. Like Jonathan Mises said, he doesn't even know whether that what he fabricates is art. He just fabricates. He likes doing it. It's like sketching something, squirting paint onto the canvas randomly and putting infinity signs, which is interesting that he uses infinity signs because I use that too, of course, because and he's a god level soul. Of course, he knows infinity energetically already. So, but his mission is to demystify all of these human created symbols and the stuff that people are afraid of, the stigmatization and all of this. He wants to demystify all of this. If people understand him or not, I don't even know. But people will go like, yeah, this is art. So, so, and then if a little child or anyone, anywhere, painted exactly the same stick figure. Let's just, he's painted some stick figures. So if someone else painted the exact same stick figure, but he's also painted other things. He also knows how to draw, really draw, but that's not what modern art is about. Modern art is about expressing an energy. That doesn't mean you have to make an accurate drawing. It's an energetic expression. That's what modern art is about. And so a stick figure could be an expression also of an energy. So, but the public doesn't understand it because they don't understand the depths of that. So they will run off with this stick figure fad. Like, I mean, Keith Haring, I don't know if you're familiar with his work. So, sort of like graffiti, started with graffiti art. And very good, very, very good and awesome. But, someone else could have done something very similar or something that, or even the same. And then people would walk by and say, you have to erase or paint over that graffiti on the wall. But someone discovered him somewhere in the subway and saw that what he's doing and liked it. And I think he gave them then this opportunity to paint in a very prestigious studio. And then he was putting that stuff on canvas also, and became a very famous artist. So someone discovered that someone saw the depths of it. Most people do not see the depths of it. There are probably a lot of really talented artists that are creating graffiti in New York somewhere, and most of them are not seen or discovered. And the majority goes by and says, "Ooh, ugly graffiti." But once the same thing hangs in a Mocha art museum, then they go, oh, like good art, so it's good. See, it's the public, they run off with the prestigiousness of it. A specific shape is declared as prestigious, and then they run off with that. So now that shape is prestigious. But if it hadn't been declared, it would not be seen as that by most people. Maybe there's like less than 10,000, less than 1 in 10,000 people, something like this, or less than one person, less than, yeah, maybe one person in 100,000 people or something like that, like 0.001% of people that would actually look at something regardless of where it is or who made it, or they just feel the energetic impulse of it. And they go, oh, I like this. It could be in a public restroom, something scribbled on the door. So, and they go like, oh, this is an interesting sketch, or this is nice. Who made that? And they run and find out, and maybe they'll find the person, and they go, and that person is a drug addict, totally down and out, and they go, hey, you're an artist. Oh, I didn't even know that. But help me. And they'll help that person and might even give him a good life, So maybe turn his life around even. Some of them didn't. Some of them are very damaged psychologically. So they paint just until the last end of their drug addiction that does them in. So that is the case probably with most artists. So afflicted by something very terrible, neurotic and terrible act outs. And that's why I always say, man, you can get rid of all of these addictions. It seems really impossible, but you can absolutely. You can. I did it. You can do it too. And you can find out ways to make it easier, to make this life on the new path easier, where you never look back. Never. I never look back. When I look back from above onto my past, and it makes me shudder. Some people, they go, yeah, I would relive that entire lifetime the same way, do the same things again. Me, like, no, no, I don't want to relive that lifetime, ever. No way. And I am very clear that I have made so many mistakes out of ignorance and pain that it's just endless. I could not, it wouldn't, probably would never end, the mistakes I've made. And then we learn from those mistakes, okay, and we get back up on our legs. And even if it means you do this again and again and again, you get back up on your legs. Just because you backslid doesn't mean you're doomed to the past or to how it was before. No. Whatever you backslide with, become aware. Yeah, I backslid. Now I'm gonna quit it. The moment I realize it, I quit it. I'm out of it. I'm back on the healing path. Okay, go back on the healing path. And don't look at other people, what they think, or how much fun they have, or don't go to those parties anymore where they give you cocaine on a golden platter. Don't go to those places anymore. Don't associate with those people anymore. There are other people to associate with. They are there. They're there for a reason. They're there to help us. No, they're not boring. They may be regarded as nerds or dorks or freaks. Whatever they're called. But they're here for a reason, to get us on the healing path. Okay, so and I consider myself to be one of them. So it took me a long time to get to this, but I get it now. Okay, I get it, and I share it. And if that helps, that'd be wonderful. That would make me feel very happy. That would give me the feeling like, okay, my existence has a meaning. I'm doing some good. I'm doing some good for the world. I'm not just um, a burden or a klutz or a weight on someone else's leg. But the most important thing is that I'm doing it. I get it and I'm doing it. I'm living this. I'm on the path and I'm living it and I make the best out of it, and we can make the best out of it. We can actually make a paradise. We can make something amazing out of it. The potential is there. It's all there. The colors and the materials are all there. All we need to do is we need to take it into our hands and we need to work with it. That's all we need to do. I got this on my finger. This is just a symbol. Okay, so don't run off with the symbols. This symbolizes the mental tools, the physical tools that we have in the world available to us. The internet is an amazing, revolutionary thing. Okay? So don't use it for wasting your time or making other people's lives miserable. Don't waste it on that. Use the internet to learn, to become knowledgeable about natural healing, about feeding your body. Everyone can do it. Everybody can do it. It doesn't mean you have to force yourself to get off your addictions and pleasures and the first thing is, when someone stigmatizes a certain pleasure with a shame attribution. Right? That's what society has done, with masturbation. That's probably the number one reason why these people, they get hooked on this and can't get off, because of the shame attribution to it. That's the first thing that has to go. There's nothing shameful about it. We're human apes. Okay? That's all there is to it. Okay? Yes, you are a human ape. Yes, you are a carnal animal. Okay? And I am too. And there is no shame in it. Yeah? A zebra or a lion or a horse does not feel ashamed for being a carnal animal, or a chimpanzee. Maybe some chimpanzees, they're already a little bit ashamed. I already see some very similar neurotic behavior in chimpanzees. Because they're very human-like. So they're coming very close to the human animal, to the human ape. Very, very close. And to all of its ego activity. So very close. So the chimpanzees probably not going to realize any of these things that I'm saying. And they couldn't, because they wouldn't be able to develop a vocabulary like this. Even though they can develop a certain vocabulary with sign language, they cannot, it doesn't go much into abstractions. Not very far. A bit, but not far enough to understand what I'm saying. Okay? So that's why we have to be the stewards for the land animals. The whales are more advanced than we are, but we don't have much contact with them because they live in a different medium. Never kill a whale. Never, ever hunt a dolphin. Never put these animals into an aquarium. That's like a human being trapped in an elevator. Don't do this. Ever. Never hurt another living being. Ever. Never contribute. Never be part of that chain of suffering. And that means you have to quit eating meat. The first meat you have to quit is the mammal meat. That's the very first one. Do not eat mammal meat anymore. That means pigs, cows, horses, dogs, cats. Those are mammals. People eat those in the world according to the different countries. Don't eat it anymore. Don't eat this anymore, even if it's given to you. The Buddhists say, I eat whatever people give me, kind of like a beggar on the street. No, no, don't do it. Gautama Buddha said not to eat animals. You're part of that murder cycle if you eat that. Yeah, even the Buddhists, some of them are very dumb and just blind followers of what society has tweaked Buddhism into to serve them. It's like all the other religions. They're either written to serve someone in the first place, or they're tweaked into serving someone. It's always serving some gratification or ego. That's not real conscious awareness. That's not compassion. That's just a lame ego excuse. That's what it is. And it's terrible and dangerous. Don't hurt another living being anymore. Don't let it out on anyone. I'm not letting it out on my brother. I'm not letting it out on my family. I'm not letting it out on other people or anyone or on someone I'm jealous of or the haters. I'm not going to let it out on anything anymore. I'm not going to lash back. That's not self-defense. To just a lash back with the same lame violence. I'm not going to do it. Not because I'm better, not because I'm on a pedestal, but because it doesn't work. Lashing back doesn't work. Okay? Defending yourself, yes, and stand up for yourself. Give people the truth. Give fact checks. I love doing it just as much as I love blocking some terrible people. I usually don't. I'm not super eager to block people because I want to educate them. But if they're just simply super violent, they're not even in the receptive mode of receiving any information. And I need to protect others and myself, so I block them. Okay? That's all there is to it. Some of them came back with new channels just to see what I'm writing. Yes, they did, on Facebook and YouTube. So maybe there was something that I said that maybe did resonate or sound true. I hope so. It's not a video game. I'm not a winner. I'm not here to beat anyone in a video game. Okay? You're not a loser. We are where we are. Get in line on the spot where you are at. I'm in line too. Let's get in line. Yeah. Someone else is better at math. Someone else is better at being an actor or being a photo model. That's something I don't aspire to, for sure. Being a photo model. Certainly not for Calvin Klein or any of those that require women to starve themselves. That's hideous. I find that criminal. So yeah, if there's a model agency that wants chubby, middle-aged girls, women, whatever, between 30 and 50, yeah, so then I would probably, I might apply for that, I don't know. Or porno movie, it's nothing wrong with it, there's no shame attached to it. So get rid of that shame. Get rid of that stuff, that what society has told us, or this idiocy of the movie in the Hollywood. And this the acceptable movie industry in the world, the PG-13 or family movies or whatever, or whatever, even rated R, then they do real porno scenes in it. But you know what they do? In order to get by with it legally, they have to declare that they made that with mask building. How, I mean, this is so incredibly idiotic. And all of this comes from this shame stigma. Shame stigma. You can't show the vagina because it's shame stigma. Because, and I know where that comes from. It comes from religion, and also comes from this egoic fear that the human could be seen as an animal too. And then when they see animals doing it, they go a little bit embarrassed about it. Why? Why embarrassed? This is the carnal animal, and we all are carnal animals. And there's no shame attached to it, okay, man? There's no shame attached to it. And when you're overeating, there's no shame attached to it. And you're overeating, okay? Just don't ruin your hearts. Don't eat meat anymore. That's all. That will already give you enormous breather, okay, for balancing out your weight. If you're 500 pounds, yeah, it's a death sentence. So it's just a matter of time until the heart stops. So don't do that to yourselves. It's in the same way that you don't want to starve yourself. Be somewhere in the middle range. I'm certain that I'm not in the healthy range, okay, with my weight. So for me to be in the healthy range, I would have to be 170, maybe 160. But I'm 230. So what? Okay, I like it. If I get a heart attack, it's my problem, not anyone else's. But there's no shame attached to it. And this calorie counting, and it's all attached to shame. How can we ever heal from something if we still are attached to the shame that causes that perpetuates this in the first place? Get rid of the shame, get rid of all shame, right? And just realize, come completely clear and clean. My body is my temple. I love my body. I don't want to abuse my body. I'm not going to take a drug. I'm not going to take Viagra. I'm not going to go under the knife. And an older man who doesn't have a sex drive anymore, there's no shame attached to that either. People have shame attached to masturbating. Then when they don't do it, they feel shame too. It's like this shame has to go. Shame has got to go. I like what David Suzuki said. David Suzuki, I think, is 70 or something like this. No, and he said that he is glad that he doesn't have a sex drive anymore. He's glad he's over this. I really respect this man for saying this publicly. Wow, that's awesome. It's like, why? Why be crying after something like this? But if you have it, there's nothing wrong with it either. Okay, it's good. Why can't we accept the situation that we have? There's a woman, the doctors they didn't help her with the flesh-eating bacteria. Instead, they cut all of her arms and legs off. So now she's totally dependent on other people. That's a situation she has to deal with now. Okay, this is irreversible. There's a situation now she has to deal with. Maybe she can get cyborg artificial limbs. She she's young enough. She probably